So, Patricia, are you here, Patricia?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you okay. Can
And
you?
apologies, I can't get my camera to work. But anyway, I am here.
Oh, okay, well, I can hear you, so that works. So can you please ask your question?
Yeah, thank you. So I'm very new to human design as well, but I am interested in knowing from my chart which are the more, I guess, like subtle and nuanced ways that the shadows could manifest in some of those gates and channels that I could, not be really aware of because they might be a little bit more subtle. Um, I thought, I know it's a sort of a general question because it probably depends on the person, but I thought maybe based on your experience, if there's things that I could look out for more readily.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing I'll just say is that your question is a lifelong endeavor.
Yeah.
It's not something I'm just going to
Straight to
be
the
able to
point.
give you a good answer for. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
but that's okay. Because here's the thing about. Let me just make this general statement. Is every single aspect of the chart. So there are 64 gates, 36 channels, 9 centers. There's 5 types. There's how many authorities? I think there's 5 authorities. There's like a bunch of profiles. You know what I mean? It's a lot of data, right? There's all these planets. It's like
Mm.
it's a lot of data. And so there with every single aspect of the chart, there are the way I talk about it. Okay, this other people don't talk about it this way, but there are 3 different ways you can express them. One is disempowered, which is where you feel like you're at the mercy of that energy, or you're rejecting the energy because you saw it used in a way that you don't like, and so you reject it. Then there's the shadow way of using it, which is where you're using that energy to gain authority or power over a situation or people. And then there's the more awakened or empowered aspect, which is where you're really operating from a sense of deep power within. And there's no need to be, you stepped it kind of out of the power struggle of like feeling like you're under the power of authority of somebody else, or you're exerting power over other people, which is frankly how we're generally conditioned to be. And
Mm.
you step out of that and you're like, I have power inside of myself. I have no need to assert power over others, and I'm not at the mercy of other things. So 64, all of those things I just named can all be experienced in these different ways. So when you ask, like, what are those things? I just want to say every single part of the chart can have, can be expressed in a disempowered or shadow
Mm.
way. So this isn't like, this is shadowy. This isn't, it's not like that. So having
Yeah.
said that, just as a general comment, I'll just pull a couple of things that I think could be examples that could be helpful for us that you can take a look at. So one thing is you've got the gate 45 lit up, and it's Saturn. So Saturn is the great teacher. And so what Saturn is pointing to, what he's lighting up the gate is the 45, and he is wanting you to consistently, incrementally take a look at how you are expressing the energy of that gate 45, and to take step by step actions in order to move into that empowered and awakened state of the 45. So the 45, it's tribal circuitry. It's part of the money line. You've got the whole money line here, the 4521. And it's known as the king or queen gate in traditional human design, or the sovereign gate. And then it's been renamed distribution in quantum human design. But the thing to know about it is this really is that kind of regal, sovereign queen gate. And we can, as soon as we think of that, right, we can immediately think of the shadow of royalty, right? Shadow of royalty is I take everything I can get from my subjects and distribute them to myself and the people who are close to me, right? We like, oh yeah, that's how royalty operates, right? So that's the shadow. But it can be authoritarian, it can be dictatorship, can be in the 45. And so you want to watch out for that part. But then the other side, the disempowered, is like, oh, I'm not a queen. Like I'm not that kind of royal person. I don't have that kind of, kind of magnificent, regal energy. Oh, that's not me. Either that, or, ooh, I've seen other people be authoritarian and dictator, have dictator energy, and I don't want to embody that. So I'm going to reject the whole thing out of hand. But then the other opportunity is to be like, well, if I were to step into a really elevated sovereign state, and I just had my book coming out on feminine sovereignty, so I'm all into sovereignty, is to be like, well, how can I be more generous? How can I be more benevolent? How can I really develop my radiance and my ability to become a beacon of light for people in my community? Because that is the elevated state of the queen energy, right? Is that she's there, she's empowered from the inside, she's empowered by spirit, and she's here with the well-being of her people as her highest priority, right? That's the awakened queen. The shadow queen is the one who's trying to take everything for herself, right? Or for her people, right? And doesn't care if the living world dies, doesn't care if people suffer. So does this land for you? Just the
Oh,
explanation?
it is beyond perfect because it is an absolute aspect of myself that I've been journaling through, and I'm not comfortable with, which is I can be very generous of spirit, but there's an aspect of myself that feels very ungenerous. See, my throat's going. Very ungenerous in relation to resources. Like I can feel envious of people who have, like resources, or their families are giving them money. And I definitely have a thing about myself in that regard. So it is spot on. And it is something that I find quite repellent in myself because I don't like it. But
Right.
obviously, thank you for,
Yeah. So that's a
yeah.
great place for you to be like, I want to change the
Mm,
way I'm experiencing this energy.
yeah,
I
absolutely.
want to be able to discharge and release any sense of scarcity that I have, because what you're describing is based in scarcity, right? Like there's
Yeah.
not enough for me. And then therefore become envious of other people that we perceive have
Yeah.
more than we do. Right. And so that's where you get to work. That's part of your soul curriculum, is how do I
Mm,
express that? Because here's Saturn, the great teacher, who's kind of going, Patricia, focus here, focus here, focus here. How are you going to learn with this? How are you going to move into that elevated state? And I'll tell you, man, the elevated queen, the awakened queen, she is a delight to be with.
mm.
She is a delight. People want to be around that kind of energy, but it's about stepping into that regalness and imagining yourself as, like I said, the benevolent queen, the generous queen, the one who is really devoted to the well-being, of herself, obviously, because she has to be well-resourced and she has to take care of herself in order to be able to provide for others. But she also is really looking at how can we make things work for everybody, because it is a tribal energy, right? And tribal energy is
Mm,
about the tribe. Okay, so that's just
yeah.
one part of the whole chart, right?
Amazing.
And and there's many other parts we could dive into, but I wanted to mostly just give you a demonstration of the kind of thing you can do with the different aspects of your chart. And welcome to the human design journey.
Yeah, it's magical. Thank you. Thank you
Yeah,
so
you're
much. That was
welcome.